Hello there. We are going to do a little bit of gentle yoga today. So there's going to be some flow involved here, but mainly it's going to focus on stretching, opening up the hips, and just a much more quiet yoga practice than we are generally used to with a vinyasa. So hopefully that glare is not too much. I think maybe I'll turn this light off and then we should be good. No, light not good. Maybe I'll change directions. We'll see how this goes. All right, yep, that should be a little bit better, I think. So scoot this back. All right, so today we're gonna start in Child's Pose. So I'm just gonna have you come down onto your mat. We're gonna spread those legs nice and wide, taking those fingers, reaching them out in front of you, and sitting back through those heels. So as you open up those hips and fall back into those heels, I just want you to start focusing on your breathing. So inhaling through that nose, exhaling through that nose. Starting to slow down those thoughts just a little bit, focusing on your intention for class today, shutting out the outside world. Again, just opening up through those hips, sitting back through those heels, allowing that forehead to fall down to the ground. Reaching those fingertips nice and far forward. Now we're going to take those fingers, walk them to the right of that mat. So now you're going to take that left glute, sit it back towards that left heel, adding length through this left side of the body now, maybe dropping that left ear to your left elbow. Focusing on that breathing. Nice big inhales and exhales. Let's take it back through the center. Now walking those hands over to that left side of the mat, sitting that right glute down towards that right heel, maybe taking that right ear down to that right bicep. Let's walk those fingers back towards the center. Now sitting it back a little bit deeper into that child's pose this time. Let's take those hands, we'll bring them palm to palm. Those thumbs are gonna drop towards that base of your neck, just now stretching through those triceps. Forehead is down on the mat. Release from that position. We're slowly gonna work our way up into a tabletop position. So your knees go about 2 hips width distance apart. Your hands are about 2 hips width distance apart. I'm gonna go sideways so you can see me well here. We're tucking our tailbone up to your spine, making sure that back is nice and flat. We're just going to inhale, arch that back up, drop that chin down to your chest. Exhale, drop it down, open up that mouth nice and wide. Take a look up at that crease between that ceiling and the wall. Inhale, arch it up. Taking it one vertebrae at a time. Exhale, drop it down. Gaze goes up towards that crease between the ceiling and the wall. Inhale, arch it up. Dropping that chin in towards that chest, really adding length through that neck, stretching all through that spine. Exhale, drop it down. Gaze goes up towards that crease between the ceiling and the wall. One more time, let's inhale, arch it up. Really tuck that chin in nice and tight. Press that belly button up towards your spine. Elongate here. Exhale, drop it down. Let's bring that spine back to a neutral position. Then we're going to press it back to our very first downward facing dog. So we're pressing our hips back toward, our chest back towards our quads. We're pressing our heels down towards the mat. We're going to spread our fingers nice and wide. Just allow that head to hang. So I want you for a second just to kind of shake that head out. Make sure you're not holding any tension in the neck or in the shoulders. Making sure you're not dumping weight into those wrists. So again, just focusing on pressing that chest back towards those thighs. We're going to slowly walk those feet up to those hands. Forward folding right here. So depending on your flexibility, you might have a bend in your knees, your hands might be straight. We're going to release those hands from that mat, grabbing those opposite elbows, just hanging for a ragdoll. So I want you to shake your head, yes. Shake your head, no. Knee back in the center, place those hands back up on the mat. We're going to lengthen, bring those hands up onto those shins. Gaze out 2 to 3 inches in front of that mat, straighten that back out. Exhale, fold it back in. Tuck that chin into your chest. Allow that head to hang, maybe shaking left and right. Inhale, lengthen, walk those hands up onto your shins, straighten out that back, draw that belly button up to your spine. Gaze goes 2 to 3 inches out in front of that mat. Exhale, fold it back in, tuck it tight. This time we're going to clasp those hands back behind those calves and just hug your chest in nice and tight onto those thighs. Again, just allow that head to hang. Maybe hugging opposite elbows to take this a little bit deeper. And then release those hands one more time. We'll inhale, lengthen. Hands come up onto those shins. Gaze goes out in front of that mat. Place those hands back down onto the mat. Go ahead and step it back for me, coming into that high plank position. We're going to walk ourselves through a chaturanga here. So we have a couple options. If you feel like you have the strength to do a tricep push-up, which would be your elbows tucked in nice and tight at your sides, you would lower down, keeping them totally tucked in. Flip those toes, come into that up dog, and then press it back into that downward facing dog. That's going to be our more advanced option right there. If you would like to take it to something a little less advanced, you're going to drop those knees down to the ground. That way, we can make sure that our elbows stay tucked at our sides. You can lower down, then flip those toes, come to that up dog, and then push it away, come to that downward facing dog. So the most important thing here is protecting those shoulders. If you wish to take out the chaturangas altogether, you would come into this high plank position, then just push it back to that downward facing dog. So if you have bad neck, bad shoulders, if you don't feel comfortable with your strength as far as that tricep push-up is concerned, then just go ahead and modify that accordingly. So every time you wind up in this downward facing dog, I want you to focus on a couple things. Again, fingers are spread nice and wide, chest is pressed back towards those heels. Our mouth is closed, we're breathing nice and deep through those noses. We're going to go through a few sun salutations. So I want you to inhale, take a look forward, hop or step it forward, forward fold. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down to the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Hands can be on the mat or on those shins. Exhale, fold it back in. Gaze goes forward. We'll hop or step those feet back, come into that high plank position. This is where you make that choice. So first I want you to be in a nice, strong high plank. Those wrists are just below the shoulders. Tailbone is tucked beneath you, back is straight. So we're not up like this. We're not down like this. We're right here. If you feel comfortable here on your toes, take it through that chaturanga, coming into that up dog, pushing it away to that downward facing dog. We're going to take 5 breaths in this downward facing dog. Again, mouth is closed, breathing through that nose. Let's bend those knees, take a look through those hands, hop or step it forward, forward fold. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down to the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Come up onto those fingertips or hands come onto those shins. Gaze out front, back is straight. Exhale, tuck it back in nice and tight. Gaze goes forward, hop or step it back. Come into that high plank. You make that choice. Your version of chaturanga, or just push it back to that downward facing dog. Again, always making a conscious effort to stay out of that neck and shoulders. Mouth is closed, breathing nice and deep, in and out through that nose. We're going to do one more like that, and then we're going to do some add-ons here. So let's bend those knees, take a look through those hands, hop or step it forward, forward fold. If you're stepping it forward, just make sure you switch feet every once in a while so you're not favoring one side. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down to the mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold it back in. Gaze goes forward, hop or step it back. Find that high plank. You make the choice right here. Flow through. Push it away. Find that downward facing dog. We're going to pedal our knees out left and right. I'm going to take a few of them a little slower, then we'll pick up the pace. So we're going to bend that left knee, drop that right heel down to the mat. So some of you, depending on your flexibility, might be able to get both heels down to the mat. I'm pretty tight for my hamstrings. Probably never see that for me. Now let's switch it up. We'll bend that right knee, drop that left heel down to the mat for me. Try to level out those hips. Make sure you're not dumping into one side or the other. One more on each side. Bend that left knee, drop that right heel down to the mat. Fingers are spread wide. Chest is pressed back towards those thighs. And one more. Let's bend that right knee now, dropping that left heel down to the mat. All right, now let's just pick up the pace here. So you're dropping right heel, left heel, right heel, left heel. and release. We're going to drop it down to our knees. We're going to get those wrists just a little bit of a break right here, open, working on some chest openers. So we're going to come up onto those knees. You see you now. We're going to interlace those fingers back behind you and just squeeze that chest forward, dropping your head back just slightly. And release, bring it back forward. Now go posting those arms. We'll sit back on those heels, squeeze those arms back behind you. And bring them forward. Squeeze those arms back behind you. And bring them forward. Squeeze those arms back. And bring them forward. We'll do one more. Squeeze them back. And bring it forward. Placing those hands down on your thighs. One more time, we'll come up onto those knees. One more time, interlacing those fingers back behind your back. Shine that chest forward. And release. So we're going to take it down to the mat just for a moment. So I'm going to have you take a seat all the way on the mat, laying yourself all the way back. We're going to pull that right knee into your chest, interlacing your fingers just below that kneecap. You're flexing those right toes back towards your face and just allowing those left toes to kind of hang about. Kind of squeeze this knee right beneath that right armpit, feeling that nice pinch right through that hip flexor. And release. Now we'll pull that left knee into your chest, interlacing those fingers just below that left kneecap. Now flexing those left toes back towards your face, allowing those right toes just to kind of relax. Pulling this left knee just to the side, right below that armpit, feeling that nice pinch through that hip flexor. And release. We'll now take both of those knees, squeeze them tight into that chest. Now grabbing probably just at the fingertips, maybe interlacing the fingertips. Maybe interlacing the fingertips. Placing again the hands just below those kneecaps. Now you're flexing both of those feet back towards your face. You're pressing that tailbone down towards the mat, pressing that belly button towards the mat. Squeeze those shoulder blades back behind you. Now feeling that pinch in both of those hip flexors. And release. We're going to do one spinal twist before we move into just a couple flows. So we're going to bend those knees so the soles of the feet are down on the mat. We're going to cross that right leg over our left leg. The right leg crosses over the left leg. We're lifting up that right butt cheek, scooting it to the right just slightly. We're going to drop those cross legs over to the left. We're going to take our left hand, place it on that right thigh. Hopefully you're following me. That right arm reaches out to the side, gaze goes over that right shoulder. So if you lost me somewhere along there, we're just in a spinal twist. So whatever version works for you is totally fine. That's a lot of words. Good, let's unwind from that. So uncross that right leg from over the left leg. Reposition yourself so your pelvis is all even. Now taking that left leg, crossing it over the right leg. Let's lift up that left butt cheek, scoot it over to the left. Drop those knees crossed over to the right. We're placing our right hand onto our left upper thigh. Left arm reaches out to the side, gaze goes over that left shoulder. So just like I said on the other side, if you lost me somewhere there, that's totally fine. Just make sure you are crossed. Nice job. Let's unwind from there. Before we make our way up to do just a few flows today, we are going to go into just a little mini back bend right here. So we're going to place our hands just below our bums. Our thumbs are up towards our booties, and we're lifting our hips up towards the sky. So we are on our shoulder blades, our glutes are lifted up off the mat, and our feet are firmly on the ground. I like to tuck my chin into my chest just slightly. And release. So carefully, we're going to make our way up to a seated position. We're going to push ourselves back to a downward facing dog. So again, spreading our fingers nice and wide, pressing our chest back towards our thighs. We're going to go through a series of warrior ones here. So once you're into this position, I want you to inhale your right leg up. Exhale, pull it through, find a warrior one. Right toes are facing forward, left toes are facing towards that side wall. Arms are lifted up overhead. We're going to lower those shoulder blades just slightly, pulling those biceps back to your ears. Level those hips out for me. Release those front toes, making sure they're not digging into that mat. Now we're going to drop our left hand down just slightly. That will allow us to square our hips out a little bit more forward in case you don't have a mirror to check yourself out. Lift that left arm back up for me. Exhale, open up, find that warrior two. So check that front knee for me. Make sure that it's tracking forward, not falling in or out, making sure that knee is right behind that toe. I want you to tug yourself back just slightly, making sure you're nice and straight. So I don't want you pulled forward like this. I want your body to be straight. So pretending like your legs are tree trunks and you're standing nice and firmly in this stance. Now we're going to take that front palm, flip it forward or up so your palm is facing towards the sky. Reach forward, reverse it back, refine that reverse warrior. The fingertips are reached up overhead, gaze is up towards those fingers. Stay nice and strong and firm through those legs. And then exhale, find a side angle for me. Elbow comes onto that knee, arm is lifted up overhead, gaze goes up towards that thumb. So lower that shoulder blade, pull it away from that ear. Exhale those hands down to that mat for me. Step it back, find that high plank. Either push it back to that downward facing dog or take that chaturanga. So flowing through, making sure those elbows are tucked nice and tight at your side. Now all we're going to do is that same thing on that left side. So I want you to exhale that left leg up. Inhale, pull through, find a warrior one on that left side. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. So focusing on squaring those hips forward, lowering those shoulder blades, pulling those biceps back by your ears. Checking that front knee, make sure it's tracking forward, not falling to the sides. Now we're going to drop that right arm, allow those hips to level out. And then reach it back up overhead. Exhale, open to warrior two. Tuck that tailbone beneath you. Again, check that front leg. Make sure that knee is behind that toe, that your knee is not falling inward. And then I want you just to tug back slightly, making sure, again, that your feet are like a nice, strong tree trunk. And we're gonna flip that palm, inhale, reach it forward, exhale, reverse that warrior. Gaze goes up towards those fingertips. Staying strong in those legs for me. Lower that left arm just slightly away from your ear. Exhale, find that side angle, elbow goes to knee, right arm reaches up overhead. Gazes up towards that right thumb, again, lowering that shoulder out of that ear. Exhale those hands down to the mat, step it back, find that chaturanga or press it back to that downward facing dog. If you're in that chaturanga, again, making sure those elbows are tucked nice and tight at your side. Exhale, push it away. Give me 5 breaths in that downward facing dog. We're gonna go through 2 of those today. Our mouth is closed. We're breathing nice and deeply through that nose, always thinking about spreading our fingers nice and wide, always thinking about pressing our chest back towards our thighs. Let's take a nice big inhale for me. Gaze goes forward. Hop or step it forward. Forward fold. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, forward fold. Hands come down to the mat. Knees are bent, chest to the thighs. Inhale, lengthen, straighten it all up. Gaze goes out in front of you. Exhale, fold it back in. Gaze goes forward, hop or step it back. Give me your version of that chaturanga, or just push it back to that downward facing dog. Now we'll start with that flow. So once you've made your way to this downward facing dog, let's exhale, reach that right foot up overhead. Inhale, pull through, warrior one. Exhale, open it up, warrior two. Tug it back just slightly. Flip that palm, reach it forward, bend it back, reverse that warrior. Exhale, find that side angle. Elbow to near, hand to mat. Left hand comes down, spin those left toes, step it back, flow through, or just push it back to that downward facing dog. Let's exhale this left foot up now. Inhale, pull through, find that warrior one. Inhale, reach. Exhale, two. Check that form. Pull it back just slightly. Flip that palm, reach it forward, bend it back, reverse that warrior. Exhale, find that side angle for me. Connecting each movement with a breath. Let's drop that hand down, spin those right toes, step it back, flow through, or push it back to that downward facing dog. Push it away. We'll have one more flow, and then we're gonna slow it down. So final standing flow for the day. Let's bend those knees, take a look through those hands, hop or step it forward. Forward fold. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Exhale, heart center. Inhale, reach. Exhale, dive up through. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold it back in. Gaze goes forward, hop or step it back, high plank, flow through, or push it back to that downward facing dog. Let's exhale that right foot up. Inhale, pull through. Find that warrior one. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, open to two. Flip that palm, reach it forward, bend it back. Reverse that warrior. Exhale, find that side angle. And let it go. Step it back, flow through. Final time. Let's exhale that left foot up. Inhale, pull through. Warrior one. Exhale, open to two. Flip that front palm, reach it forward, bend it back. Reverse that warrior. Exhale, side angle. And let it go. Spin those right toes, step it back, flow through. We're going to finish out class today with just a few stretches. So if you've lost your breathing along the way, those flows definitely get the heart rate up. Sometimes they increase people's anxiety a little bit. So let's just slow things back down. So in this downward facing dog, again, I want you to think about spreading your fingers wide, pressing your chest back towards your thighs. Let's exhale that right foot up. Inhale, pull through, give me that pigeon pose. So what that's going to be is, I don't know if you can see here, you should be able to. We're going to bend that right leg, that shin of your right leg. The goal of it is to be parallel to the front of that mat, okay? Your hips are nice and level here. Your chest is up nice and tall. Your right hip is lifted up off the mat. You don't just want to fall back into it because you want to feel this nice stretch through your hip. You can stay up here if you'd like. You can forward fold, bringing your forehead or your hands down to the mat. Your forehead, I'm sorry, down to your hands or down to the mat. So some people like to make a little fist, place their forehead on there. Some people prefer just to lie their head all the way down to the mat. So I want you to think about breathing into this hip. Again, really adding some length, opening those hips up. And release slowly. Come back up onto those hands. If you're down on your forearms, walk them all the way back to that foot. And we're going to swing this left foot around, coming into a seated tree. So this leg is bent. You're going to place it on the inside of that left thigh for me. You're going to sit up nice and tall. This time, both of those sits bones are down onto the mat. Inhale, reach those arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. You're going to grab on the outside of that left foot. Gaze goes over that left shoulder for me. If you need to bend this knee in order to get all the way out there, you can. If you have a stretch strap, a resistance band, something like that to assist you with this, you can. Even a dog leash works nicely. And release from there. Now we're going to take this left hand, place it on the inside of that left foot. Reach that right arm up, opening up your chest like a ballerina. So I cannot really very well get to my feet here. And you can also bend your knees here, or you can just stay up like this. You want to feel this all through that right side body. Make sure you're not clenching up that jaw. Staying nice and loose through that face. Again, focusing back on that breathing. And release. One final stretch on this side. We're going to take that bent knee, cross it over that straight right leg. Give me a seated spinal twist now. So your left elbow comes on the outside of that right thigh. Gaze goes over that right shoulder. And release. So all we have to do now is do all of that on that left side, and then we'll close out class with a breathing exercise in a savasana. So you're almost there, guys. So we're going to take those hands. I want you to focus one final downward facing dog. So I want you to think about your very first downward facing dog today, kind of what it looked like versus what this looks like. Do you feel a little bit looser? Do you feel opened up? Do your heels feel any closer to that mat? Do you feel like you've mastered the form of it maybe a little bit better than the beginning of class? Get back into that breathing for me, closing that mouth, breathing in and out through that nose. Now let's exhale that right foot up. Inhale, pull through, find that pigeon pose on that left side. So both those hips are lifted up nice and high. Again, making sure you're not just collapsing and falling. If this is a comfortable spot for you, stay right here, or you can lower it all the way down. So now bringing your forehead down to your palms, or you can bring it down to the mat. So focusing again on making sure that left hip is lifted up nice and high, really breathing through that hip. Opening it up, adding that length. And release. Come back up onto those hands and go down on those forearms or hands. Slowly work your right leg all the way around, coming into that seated tree on the opposite side. So again, this knee is bent. That inside of that left foot is placed onto that right thigh. We're going to inhale those arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. So I'm bringing that left hand on the outside of that right foot. I'm reaching that right arm back behind me, gazing over that right shoulder. Again, if you need some sort of prep to kind of help you out here, then grab it. Whatever helps you get that stretch is what's important. Again, if you need to bend that knee. And release for me. Now take that right hand, place it on the inside of that right foot for me. Left arm reaches up overhead, and I want you to bend it in like a ballerina. So you can bring it all the way down to those toes if you'd like, or keep your chest a little more open. Whatever helps you feel that stretch all through that side body. And release. Now take that bent right knee, or left knee, I'm sorry, cross it over that straight right leg. Give yourself a spinal twist. Gazing over that left shoulder. Nice job. Bring it back forward. One final stretch right here. Both feet go up forward. I'm going to bend my knees. I find I can get in the stretch a little bit better if I do it this way. Inhale those arms up overhead. Release those peace fingers for me. Exhale, forward fold. Take those peace fingers, grab between your big toe and the next toe, and then scoot those feet out for me. Forward folding. Depending on your flexibility, you might be able to get those elbows all the way down to the mat. Pretty tight again through my hamstrings and my lower back, so it's about as far as I can take it. And release. We're going to come into a cross-legged position. We're going to close out class seated, but similar to how we opened up class. So we're placing our hands onto our knees. If cross legs aren't comfortable for you, then you can find another position that you prefer. We're sitting up nice and tall. Tuck that tailbone back to your spine. I want you to focus back on that breathing. We're going to quiet ourselves for just a moment, looking back at that intention for class today. Focusing on all that hard work you just did for yourself, that dedicated time to you and only you. And then sitting up just a little bit taller, we're going to inhale, reach those arms up overhead. We're going to take that left hand, grab at that right wrist, tug it towards the left for me. And release, bring it back to center. And now taking that right hand, grabbing at that left wrist, tug it towards that right for me. Back to the center. Exhale, hands heart center. Release. Again, inhale, reach those arms up overhead. This time gazing up at those thumbs. Exhale, hands heart center. One final time. Inhale, reach those fingertips up nice and high. Exhale, release all that stale air. Opening up your mouth. Forward folding, releasing your neck one final time. And together we say, Namaste. Great job today. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.